What do you do when the very patients that you've dedicated your life to seem to try your patience the most? When the practice of medicine, which should feel like the highest calling, really beats you down? This idea rings true throughout the house of medicine, but comes into sharp focus in the emergency department, where our anyone, for anything, at any time ethos oftentimes puts us in face-to-face contact with the lost and the least. In this video, I want to talk about how we can navigate these waters with wisdom and with compassion, and how we can hold on to the nobility of medicine without being crushed by the weight of these difficult patient encounters. Hi, my name is Matt. If you're new here, I'm a practicing emergency physician. I'm a husband and a father, and this channel is all about medicine, all about emergency medicine, and how we can see emergency medicine as a way of pursuing excellence, both personally and professionally. So medicine is one of the most noble professions. And by that, I mean, all professions where we serve others are noble, or things that are admirable, things that are desirable. But medicine in particular is one that has a high degree of nobility. And there's many, many reasons for this. It is a profession dedicated around serving people and helping people achieve the best and the highest quality of life that they have while here on this earth. But as noble as it may be, it also can be crushing. It can be soul crushing, because we're dealing with other people. We're dealing with other egos. We're dealing with other opinions. And frankly, people who may be rude, or who may be reckless, or who may be making decisions that we wouldn't choose to make ourselves. And I remember when I was early on in my training, I was an intern in the emergency department, just learning the practice of emergency medicine. And it was sometime in the middle of the night, let's say 2 a.m. So when normal people should be in bed. And unfortunately, it becomes a decently busy time in the emergency department overnight, as we see a lot of various different things. And there's a number of different reasons why people may be coming overnight. But in this particular occasion, it was a trauma patient. It was a trauma patient who was highly intoxicated. And I don't remember the details, other than to remember the feeling of frustration, or feeling of irritation, that here I am trying to be responsible with my life. I am away from my family. I am awake in the middle of the night when I don't really want to be awake. I want to be in bed. And this person is intoxicated and belligerent and yelling all sorts of crazy things. And here I'm the one that has to be the responsible individual and pick up the pieces and take care of the mess that this particular person has made for themselves on this particular night. And I remember being frustrated. I remember being irritated and being angry at this particular person for the inconvenience that I found myself in, albeit it was a electively chosen inconvenience, but the inconvenience nonetheless of having to care for this intoxicated individual. And what happens in situations like this is that our naivete comes into direct conflict with the harsh reality of life for many patients. And the natural result is to turn towards cynicism, right? Or to turn towards compassion fatigue. And unfortunately, these scenarios are a dime a dozen in emergency medicine. And I've had a number of patients over the years who are homeless, who are schizophrenic and not completely in control of their faculties, or who may have severe medical complications from their IV drug abuse, or who may be in prison, or maybe just simply downright rude. I've had a number of times where I've been yelled at, I've been cussed at, I've been insulted, I've been called all sorts of names, and I've had even patients try to be physically intimidating towards me. And in the moment, the natural response that we have is to put up self-defense mechanisms, to resort to anger and resort to frustration, when our desire to be compassionate to people, our desire to serve our fellow man, the naivete that's kind of wrapped up in all these different intents for our practice of medicine, meet the reality that certain people just aren't nice. Certain people don't receive that as we intend to provide it. And so in these situations, it can be really challenging. It can be really challenging to not resort to the cynicism or compassion fatigue that we talked about. And you need to have a very strong understanding of how to navigate through these situations. These moments can wear you down, and you need a deep anchor to really keep you grounded in what got you into medicine and what's going to keep you in medicine, so that you can take care of the good patients, but also these difficult and challenging patients as well. And so this is why we need a guiding worldview, or guiding theology, to undergird the medicine that we provide. So for me, there's 3 biblical truths that I lean on in these difficult times, when I have difficult patients, when all I want to do is respond unprofessionally and respond with the emotion that is kicked up as a result of the encounters that I have with these patients. So let's dive in and let's talk about these 3 principles. The first principle is the fact that we are created in the image of God. And this comes out of Genesis chapter 1, the creation account, where God is talking about how the world is created and those that he put in the world, specifically mankind. And in Genesis 1, the author writes, "Then God said, 'Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and the birds of the heavens and the livestock and over all of the earth and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth.' So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them." And so this idea carries with it a couple implications. Number one is we were created by God, specifically and intentionally. Every human being that lives on this earth was specifically and intentionally created by God for a purpose. And every human being on this earth was created in the pattern of God. There's certain attributes of God that he's imparted to us as human beings. And this then gives each and every one of us inherent worth and dignity, regardless of the decisions that we may make or the life course that we may take. Every person, by virtue of being a person, has inherent worth and dignity, even the ones that are difficult in the emergency department. And the principle number two is that every person on this earth has an eternal soul. You know, the Bible's very clear that we all live on the brink of eternity. In fact, the New Testament says that though our outward man is decaying, our inward man is being renewed day after day. And that speaks of believers. Speaking of this duality of natures, our physical nature and our eternal nature. C.S. Lewis writes about this idea of all of us having eternal souls as he concludes his essay, The Weight of Glory. He writes, "It is a serious thing to live in a society of possible gods and goddesses, to remember that the dullest and most uninteresting person you can talk to may one day be a creature which, if you saw now, you would strongly be tempted to worship, or else a horror and a corruption such as you now meet, if at all, only in a nightmare. All day long, we are in some degree helping each other to one or other of these destinations. It is in the light of these overwhelming possibilities, it is with the awe and the circumspection proper to them, that we should conduct all of our dealings with one another, in all friendships, all loves, all play, all politics. There are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. Nations, cultures, arts, civilizations, these are mortal, and their life is to ours as the life of a gnat. But it is with immortals whom we joke with, whom we marry, whom we snub and exploit, immortal horrors or everlasting splendors." What Lewis is writing about here is that the things around us, the things that we enjoy, these are temporal. These will come, these will go. But the people around us, the people that we interact with, our family, our friends, even our patients, these are eternal. And they are bound, everyone is bound to either a destination of eternal splendor, as Lewis writes, or eternal horror. So it is important for us to keep in mind that every person we interact with is an image bearer of God with an eternal soul, with an eternal destination. And this brings us to the third principle of then we ought to serve one another. And Jesus gives us this example in Matthew chapter 25. In this passage, the author writes, "When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another as shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will place the sheep on the right and the goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food, and I was thirsty, and you gave me drink, and I was a stranger, and you welcomed me, and I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me.' Then the righteous will answer him, saying, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?' And the king will answer them, 'Truly I say to you, as you did it to the least of these my brothers, you did it to me.' Then he will say to those on his left, 'Depart from me, you cursed, from the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food, and I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink, and I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me, and naked, and you did not clothe me, and sick and in prison, and you did not visit me.' Then they will answer him, saying, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and thirsty and a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and did not minister to you?' Then he will answer to them, saying, 'Truly I say to you, as you did not do it to the one of the least of these, you did not do it to me.'" And so here the author is quoting the words of Jesus, who's basically saying the way you serve others is a direct reflection of your service to Christ. And we all desire to serve Christ. but He has given us people in front of us to serve, to care for, to love, to minister to, and to the extent that we are doing it to them, we are serving and ministering and loving Christ Himself. In this particular passage has been very impactful to me in my practice, and it's one that I go back to time and time again in those difficult times when I'm trying to make sense of the chaos or the destruction or the brokenness or the attitudes in the emergency department. So when the shift gets long and the patients get difficult, I have to remind myself that this is more than just medicine. It's not about me finding some sort of fulfillment or satisfaction in what I do. It's about eternity. It's about being the hands and the feet of Jesus to a lost and dying world, to our fellow sojourners on this path of life. And that's what keeps me going. And I hope it was something that you can hold on to as well. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, leave some comments below. Tell me about what you think was important, what you enjoyed, what you appreciated, or what animates you as you care for difficult patients. As always, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, so you can be notified every time we publish a new video. And if you want to watch more content about the practice of emergency medicine, how to be an excellent physician, hit up the video that's popped up in the box right here. Have a good day, guys. See ya. Bye.